The Power of Silence, Chapter 1. The Unspoken Strength, Soft, Steady Voice. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of something far greater awareness. In a world that never stops speaking, the one who can pause, listen, and hold still holds power. Power over their words, power over their reactions, power over their mind. When you speak, your words reveal what you know. But when you listen, the world reveals itself to you. Great leaders, wise teachers, and those who have left the deepest mark on history, all mastered the art of saying less and hearing more. Chapter 2. The Space Between Words in Conversation. Silence is a mirror. It reflects the truth behind the mask. It exposes the intentions behind the words. Sometimes it is not the answer you give that changes the direction of a discussion. It is the pause before you give it. Silence gives you room to choose. It allows your emotions to settle, your thoughts to align, and your wisdom to rise above impulse. Chapter 3. Silence in the Self. The deepest silence is not in a quiet room, not in the stillness of nature, but in the stillness of your mind. When your thoughts stop chasing each other. When you no longer feel the need to answer every question, to react to every event, you discover the freedom that exists within you. And in that space ideas grow, clarity blooms, and the noise of the world fades into nothing. Chapter 4. Speaking from silence. The greatest speeches are born not from noise, but from stillness. When you live in silence, even for a moment, your words carry more weight, your voice more truth, your presence more power. So speak, but speak from the quiet place within you. Speak only when your words can improve upon the silence. Closing note: the true power silence is not empty. It is full of answers. It is where your power gathers, where your mind sharpens, and where your soul finds its voice. Master silence, and you master yourself. If you want, I can now expand this into a full 30-40-minute audiobook script with more chapters, meditative pauses, and a slow, cinematic rhythm, so it can be used directly for YouTube or other platforms. That would make it sound like a professionally narrated self-help audiobook. Do you want me to make that full-length version? Soft, steady narration begins. Silence is often misunderstood. Many believe it is simply the absence of sound or void, a nothingness. But in truth, silence is not emptiness. It is fullness. It is awareness. It is the space where life can be felt more deeply, where the details others miss come alive for you. When you are silent, you are not doing nothing. You are doing something powerful. You are listening not just to words, but to pauses between them, listening to the subtle shifts in tone, to the rhythm of someone's breathing, to the truth that lingers behind the noise. You are watching, noticing the flicker of emotion in a person's eyes, the way their body moves, the tension in their shoulders. You are paying attention not just to others, but to yourself. In silence, the mind sharpens. The chaos that comes from constant chatter and endless distractions begins to dissolve. Your thoughts slow down, giving you space to see them clearly. You begin to recognize which thoughts are worth keeping and which are just clutter. You gain the ability to step back from the rush of impulse and stand in the stillness of awareness. This awareness changes everything. It allows you to observe more because you are no longer caught in the need to speak, to react, to fill the air with noise. You can sit in a room and hear more than just the obvious conversation. You notice the hesitation in someone's voice when they say they're fine. You see the story behind their smile. You sense the weight they carry, even if they don't put it into words. Silence makes you a better observer of people, of situations, of life itself. It also allows you to think deeper. When you are not rushing to respond, your mind has time to travel further, to explore the roots of a problem instead of skimming the surface. You ask yourself better questions, you challenge your own assumptions, you see connections you couldn't see before because now your thoughts have room to breathe. This depth of thinking is what separates a reaction from a response, an opinion from wisdom. And from that depth, you begin to respond wisely. You learn that not every question demands an immediate answer, not every insult requires a defense, not every challenge needs to be met with force. Silence gives you the gift of choice. In that pause, in that quiet space, you can decide not just what to say, but how to say it, and whether it even needs to be said at all. Wise responses are not born from hurried words. They are born from stillness, from the ability to let emotions settle before speaking, from the awareness that words have weight and once spoken, they cannot be taken back. When you give yourself the space to think before you speak, your words carry more meaning. People listen because they sense the thought and care behind them. Silence is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is choosing to listen instead of rushing to prove yourself. It is knowing that understanding is more important than being understood in that moment. It is the discipline to remain calm when everything around you tries to pull you into noise, arguments, and distractions. In your silence, you also begin to connect with yourself on a deeper level. You hear your own inner voice more clearly, the one that is often drowned out by the opinions of others, by the constant pull of the outside world. You start to realize what you truly believe, what you truly value, and what you truly want. This kind of awareness can only come when you stop long enough to listen. The world we live in rewards noise. The loudest voice in the room often gets the attention, but it's not always the one with the most wisdom. When you embrace silence, you step away from that competition. You stop trying to win the battle of who can speak more, faster, louder. Instead, you play a different game, one of understanding, patience, and depth. And over time, people begin to notice. They see that you don't rush to speak, but when you do, your words land with impact. They notice that you seem to understand things others overlook. They trust your judgment because they know it comes from a place of clarity, not impulse. Your silence becomes your power. This is why silence is not emptiness. It is the fullness of presence. It is the ability to stand in a moment completely aware of what is happening, without the need to change it immediately. It is the skill of seeing more, feeling more, and knowing more simply because you gave yourself the space to observe. In a noisy world, silence is a rare gift. And when you master it, you will see things others miss. You will think in ways others cannot. And you will respond with a wisdom that is impossible to fake. I can also record this script in a deep, calm audiobook voice style with pacing and pauses, so it feels like a professional audible narration. Do you want me to prepare it in spoken narration format with exact pacing cues for recording? Soft, steady narration begins. Listening, real listening, is an art. It is more than just hearing sounds, more than waiting for your turn to speak. It is stepping outside of yourself for a moment, quieting your own inner voice, and opening the door to someone else's world. When you speak, you reveal your own knowledge. You put on display the thoughts you've already gathered, the experiences you've already lived, the conclusions you've already reached. Your words are a reflection of what you already know. And while that is valuable, it does not allow you to grow in that moment. It only allows you to express what you already are. But when you listen, truly listen, you step into a place of discovery. You give yourself the chance to learn, to see, to feel what you have never felt before. In listening, You are not confined to your own perspective. You are invited into another's truth, and it is there, in that exchange, that growth happens. Listening reveals more than speaking because people tell you far more than the words they choose. A sentence might be polished, controlled, even rehearsed, but the tone, the pace, the pauses, the hesitations, they reveal the truth beneath the surface. You hear what is said, yes, but you also hear what is left unsaid. In listening, you notice the way someone's voice trembles ever so slightly when they talk about a certain topic. You notice when their tone shifts from excitement to uncertainty. You notice how their words might sound confident, yet their breathing betrays a storm inside. These are the details you miss when you are too busy preparing your own reply. When you listen, you discover the world as it truly is, not just as you assume it to be, because assumptions are born from what you think you already know, and speaking too much reinforces those assumptions. Listening, on the other hand, challenges them. It breaks them down and forces you to see from another point of view. The most respected leaders, the wisest mentors, the most trusted friends, they all share this quality. They listen more than they speak, not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand that knowledge grows in the soil of silence. Every word you hear is a seed, and if you are willing to listen, it will plant something new inside you. Listening is also an act of respect. It says to the other person, I value your thoughts enough to give them my full attention. And people can feel when you are truly listening. They can feel when you are not simply waiting for your turn to respond, but actually present in the moment with them. That presence builds trust. It opens the door for honesty. It allows the truth to step forward without fear. And here is the thing about truth. It does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it hides in quiet details. Sometimes it speaks through contradictions, through small slips of the tongue, through words that almost didn't make it out. You can only catch these truths if you are paying attention, if you are not filling the air with your own voice, but allowing theirs to be heard in its purest form. When you speak too much, you risk missing the gold in what others are trying to tell you. You drown out their meaning with your own noise. But when you listen, you give space for something rare to emerge, the unfiltered reality of another person's experience. Listening reveals more than speaking, because speaking limits you to what you already carry inside. Listening expands you beyond your own limits. It allows you to collect perspectives, insights, and wisdom from 1,000 different lives without having to live them all yourself. But listening is not passive. It is not sitting in silence while your mind wanders somewhere else. It is an active choice to be fully present, to notice not just the words, but the story behind the words. To watch the eyes, the hands, the breath, to feel the energy in the room shift when certain truths come close to the surface. When you listen deeply, you begin to see patterns. You begin to understand not just individuals, but humanity itself. You notice how fear hides behind anger, how love hides behind pride, how pain hides behind a joke. You start to see that most of what people communicate is not spoken at all, it is felt. The truth is, anyone can speak, but not everyone can listen. Listening requires humility. It requires the discipline to set aside your need to be heard, and the patience to allow someone else to fully express themselves. It is not always easy, because the urge to respond, to defend, to compare, to relate is strong. But the deeper you're listening, the more you uncover, and the more you uncover, the more wisdom you gain. If you wish to influence, listen. If you wish to understand, listen. If you wish to connect, listen. For listening is the bridge between two worlds, yours and the one standing in front of you. And when you cross that bridge, you step into a place where truth is no longer hidden, but shared. Listening reveals more than speaking, because while speaking shows the world what is inside you, listening shows you what is inside the world. Calm, steady narration begins. A pause, just a breath of stillness, can carry more weight than a flood of words. In that small space between what you hear and what you say, 1,000 possibilities exist. And it is in that space, the pause, where your greatest power in communication lies. We live in a world that rewards quick replies. The faster you can answer, the smarter you appear, the quicker you can react, the stronger you seem. But the truth is, speed is often mistaken for strength. In reality, power is in control, and the pause is control in its purest form. When you pause before you speak, you are not hesitating, you are choosing. You are giving yourself the gift of clarity. You are giving your mind the chance to process, your emotions the chance to settle, and your words the chance to take shape with intention. Think of how many conflicts, misunderstandings, and regrets could be avoided if people paused before responding. How many relationships could be healed if, in a heated moment, someone took a single breath to choose patience over pride? That small silence becomes a turning point. It changes the tone, it redirects the flow, it can calm a storm before it begins. A pause is also a signal to yourself and to others. To yourself, it says, I am in control of my words. My words do not control me. To others, it says, I am listening, I am considering, I value this moment enough not to rush through it. That alone can shift the energy of an entire conversation. When you speak without a pause, your words may carry truth, but they often lack precision. They tumble out before you've had time to choose the right ones. But when you let silence hold them for just a moment, something happens. The unnecessary falls away, and only the essential remains. The pause before you speak is also a space for listening, not just to others, but to yourself. In that quiet, you can ask, is this the right thing to say? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Will it bring me closer to what I want, or push me further away? These questions are never asked in the rush of impulsive speech. They are only asked in the stillness of a pause. And here's the truth. People notice your pauses. They feel them. A pause creates presence. It draws attention to what will come next. It tells the listener, pay attention, this matters. Some of the most powerful speakers in history understood this. They knew that silence between words can be more impactful than the words themselves. A pause can also give others permission to fill the space, revealing truths they might have kept hidden. In negotiations, a well-timed silence can cause the other side to speak more, to reveal their position, their fears, or their desires. In personal conversations, it can give someone the courage to share what they were holding back. In moments of tension, it can invite calm instead of chaos. Pauses are not just about what you say, they are about what you don't say. Sometimes, restraint is the most eloquent form of communication. Sometimes, the pause is the message, and that message can be one of respect, patience, or even quiet strength. In emotionally charged situations, the pause is your shield. It protects you from words you can't take back. It allows your logic to catch up to your feelings. It gives you a safe distance from the heat of the moment. Without that pause, you risk being swept away by anger, fear, or pride. With it, you stand firmly in your own power. It is easy to mistake silence for weakness, but anyone who has mastered the pause knows it is the opposite. The ability to withhold words until the right moment is a sign of discipline. It shows that you are not a slave to urgency, but the master of timing. Think about a musician. The beauty of a song is not only in the notes played, but in the spaces between them. Those pauses give the music room to breathe, to build, to move the listener. In the same way, the pauses in our speech give our words weight, rhythm, and impact. The pause is also a moment of connection, a place where both you and the listener meet in shared stillness. In that breath, both of you are present, both of you are aware, and from that awareness, a conversation can shift into something deeper, something more meaningful. It takes practice to use pauses well. At first, they may feel uncomfortable. You may feel the urge to fill the space, to keep talking so there is no silence. But if you learn to hold your ground in that quiet, you will find that the pause becomes an ally. It gives you time, it gives you control, and it gives your words the space they deserve. In the end, the pause is more than just a break in conversation. It is a tool, a choice, a moment of power that can change the direction of any exchange. It is the space where emotions cool, where thoughts settle, and where truth can rise to the surface. The next time you find yourself in a conversation, especially a difficult one, remember, the power is not always in the words you speak. Sometimes it is in the silence before them. Calm, meditative narration begins. There is a silence that is deeper than the absence of sound. It is not found in a quiet room, nor in a secluded forest, nor on a mountaintop far from the noise of the world. This silence lives within you. It is the stillness of your mind, the place where thoughts slow, where the endless chatter falls away, and where you are free to simply be. Inner silence is the highest form of peace, because no matter where you go, no matter what chaos surrounds you, no matter how loud the world becomes, if your mind is still, you carry peace with you. The mind is a restless thing. It wants to plan, to replay, to solve, to imagine, to compare, to judge. It spins stories about the past and paints pictures of the future. And while these abilities can serve you, they can also imprison you. Most people are not aware of how much noise lives in their own heads, a constant background hum of thoughts, worries, and distractions. But when you find inner silence, that noise fades. You begin to see your thoughts, not as commands you must obey, but as passing clouds in the sky. You watch them appear, you watch them drift, and you let them go. The mind's grip loosens, the body relaxes, a deep sense of peace takes its place. In this stillness, clarity emerges. Without the distortion of constant mental noise, you see things as they are, not as your fears or expectations paint them to be. Problems that once felt tangled begin to unravel. Decisions that once seemed impossible become clear. You begin to trust your intuition because you can finally hear it, that quiet voice that was always there beneath the noise. Inner silence also unlocks creativity. When the mind is still, it is like a calm lake, perfectly reflecting the world around it. Ideas rise to the surface naturally. Inspiration flows without force. Many great artists, inventors, and thinkers speak of moments of sudden insight, flashes of brilliance that came not in the middle of frantic effort, but in moments of calm, when they were doing nothing at all. This is the gift of inner stillness. It allows the creative mind to breathe, and perhaps most importantly, inner silence brings freedom from stress. Stress thrives in mental noise. It feeds on what if, and if only. It grows stronger when the mind races from one fear to the next. But when you quiet the mind, you cut off stress at its root. You are no longer trapped in a cycle of reaction. You are grounded in the present moment, where fear loses its grip. This doesn't mean that life becomes free of challenges, but it means you meet those challenges from a place of calm strength instead of restless anxiety. You respond instead of react. You choose instead of being pushed by impulse. You carry peace within you, and that changes the way you experience everything. Finding inner silence is not about escaping life. It is about being fully present in it. It is about creating a space within yourself that is untouched by the noise outside. This space is not far away. It is here, right now, beneath your thoughts, beneath your emotions, beneath the surface of your mind. You can touch it in moments of stillness, in meditation, in deep breathing, in sitting quietly with no need to move or speak. You can find it in nature, watching the wind move through the trees. You can find it in the rhythm of your own heartbeat, in the simple awareness of being alive. The doorway to inner silence is always open, but it takes practice to walk through it. At first, the noise of the mind will fight back. It will insist on being heard. It will throw distractions at you. That's okay. The goal is not to force the mind to stop. It is to stop giving every thought your full attention. Let them come, let them go. The more you do this, the quieter the mind becomes. And as the mind grows quiet, you begin to notice something extraordinary. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who hears them. You are the awareness that watches them pass by, and that awareness is always still, always silent, always at peace. Once you know this silence, you can return to it at any time. You can carry it with you into a noisy crowd, into a heated conversation, into the middle of life's storms. The noise outside may rise, but the noise inside stays calm. And from that calm, you see more clearly, you create more freely, and you live more fully. Inner silence is not something you must earn. It is your natural state, the space you return to when you let go of all the unnecessary noise. It is the deepest form of peace, and it is already within you, waiting to be remembered. Steady, confident narration begins. Power is often mistaken for volume, for dominance, for the ability to fill a room with your voice. Many believe that the one who speaks the most, who interrupts, who argues, who demands to be heard, is the one with the most influence, but real power is quieter. Real power is measured, deliberate, and intentional. True power comes from restraint. It is the ability to hold back when every impulse tells you to speak. It is the choice to measure your words, to consider their effect, to understand the moment before you decide to enter it. Anyone can speak without thinking. Anyone can react without pause, but the strong choose their moments. They know that words are like arrows once released. They cannot be pulled back, and so they aim carefully. Speaking only when necessary is not a sign of passivity. It is a sign of control. It means you are not ruled by the need to prove yourself, to win every argument, to fill every silence. It means you know the value of your voice, and you refuse to waste it on noise. When you speak less often, something changes. People begin to listen more closely. They notice that when you do speak, your words carry weight. They are not scattered thoughts thrown into the air. They are deliberate, chosen, and sharpened by thought. This is why restraint amplifies power, because scarcity creates value. The less often you speak, the more people pay attention when you do. Restraint also allows you to see more clearly. When you're not rushing to insert your opinion, you have space to observe the room. You catch the subtleties others miss, the undercurrent of emotion, the unspoken concerns, the power dynamics at play. You see not just what's being said, but why it's being said and by whom. This understanding gives you an advantage. Restraint protects you as well. Many mistakes, many regrets, many broken relationships are born from words spoken in haste. Anger, pride, insecurity, these emotions can push you to speak before you think. But when you master restraint, you create a buffer between your emotions and your voice. You give yourself the time to ask, is this worth saying? Will it help? Will it heal? Will it move things forward, or will it make them worse? Sometimes silence is the loudest response. In an argument, refusing to take the bait can disarm the other person completely. In a negotiation, letting the other side speak more can reveal opportunities they didn't mean to share. In leadership, choosing your words carefully can inspire far more loyalty than a constant stream of orders. Restraint also builds respect. People trust those who do not speak carelessly. They know that when you choose to speak, it's because you have something worth saying, and in a world overflowing with voices, that kind of discipline stands out. Consider the difference between a fire that burns uncontrollably and one that is carefully tended. The wildfire consumes everything in its path, destroying as much as it warms. But the controlled fire gives light, gives heat, and lasts through the night. Your words are the same. Without restraint, they can burn bridges and cause harm. With restraint, they can illuminate, comfort, and inspire. There will be times when holding back is difficult. You will want to defend yourself, to correct, to prove. But in many of these moments, restraint will serve you better. Let the silence speak for you. Let your actions carry the weight your words might have tried to. This doesn't mean never speaking your mind. It means speaking your mind with precision and purpose. It means choosing the moment when your words will have the greatest impact, rather than scattering them in every direction. It means knowing that sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Restraint is not about suppression, it is about mastery. It is knowing that you could speak, but you choose not to until the right time. It is strength held in reserve, like a river behind a dam, waiting for the moment when its release will create the most benefit. When you master restraint, you master influence. You become the person whose words are remembered because they are rare and meaningful. You become the one who shapes conversations without dominating them, who commands respect without demanding it. And that is the essence of true power. Speaking only when necessary gives your words weight. It tells the world that you value your voice, and because you value it, they will value it too. Silence strengthens presence. A calm, silent presence carries a weight that cannot be manufactured by noise, theatrics, or constant talking. In a world where people rush to fill every gap in conversation with words, where the loudest voice often seems to get the most attention, there is a rare and undeniable power in the one who can remain still, steady, and silent, yet still command the room. Silence is not weakness, it is not the absence of thought or a lack of something to say. Silence is control. It is the deliberate choice to hold back words until they carry maximum weight. It's the discipline to allow your energy, your demeanor, and your confidence to speak before your mouth ever opens. A person who understands the power of silence knows that influence is not measured by volume. It is measured by presence. When you walk into a room without rushing to announce yourself, you become a mystery. People feel something, even if they can't put it into words. They become curious. They lean in. They pay closer attention. Not because you demanded it with noise, but because your quiet strength pulls it from them naturally. This is the same principle you see in leaders, in respected elders, in people who have nothing to prove because their mere being speaks louder than any sentence they could utter. Think about this. When you are silent, you give others the space to reveal themselves. Words can hide insecurity, but silence exposes truth. People talk, and in their talking they reveal their intentions, their fears, and their strengths. While they speak, you listen, not just to their words, but to what lies beneath them. You observe tone, body language, hesitation. In this way, silence becomes not only your strength, but also your advantage. You begin to see what others miss because they are too busy trying to be heard. And here's the secret. Silence creates gravity. It draws others toward you. The more you refrain from unnecessary words, the more the words you do speak will carry weight. When you finally choose to say something, people will lean forward, eager to hear it, because they have learned that you do not waste speech. They know your words will be deliberate, meaningful, and precise. Even in conflict, silence is a weapon. When tempers flare and emotions run high, the person who can stay calm, collected, and silent stands unshaken while others lose control. The loud may win attention in the moment, but the calm and silent hold influence in the long run. They are the ones remembered, not for what they shouted, but for the way their presence shifted the atmosphere without needing to raise a voice. Silence also gives you the upper hand in self-control. It teaches you patience. It forces you to master your reactions. Every time you choose silence over a knee-jerk response, you are strengthening the part of you that refuses to be pulled into chaos. You are choosing strategy over impulse, wisdom over recklessness. It is important to understand, however, that silence is not passivity. It is not allowing others to dominate you. Instead, it is the art of positioning yourself so that when you do speak, you cannot be ignored. It is holding your voice until it has the greatest impact. It is knowing that sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is to say nothing at all. This is why some of the most influential moments in history have been marked not by speeches, but by stillness. A leader standing silently before a crowd, a protester refusing to speak yet standing their ground, a mentor listening without interruption, then delivering one sentence that changes everything. These moments work because silence builds anticipation, and anticipation amplifies impact. When you master silence, you are no longer desperate to fill it. You stop fearing awkward pauses. You no longer measure your value by how much you talk. You begin to see that silence itself is a form of communication, one that can be stronger, deeper, and more lasting than words. So, if you want to strengthen your presence, practice silence. Enter a room without the urge to dominate it. Listen more than you speak. Let your calmness be felt before your voice is heard. You will find that in the quiet, your presence becomes sharper, your influence deeper, and your power undeniable. Because in the end, people may forget what you said, but they will never forget how your presence made them feel. And silence, when mastered, makes them feel something they cannot ignore.